Thanks, Pat. The first thing I'd like to kind of go over a story. Back in '92, after I just finished my first year in San Francisco, I came back here and interviewed for the job. When I came back here, I had talked to Pat and things was going to work out for one reason or another. But then I went back to talk to John. And John said to me, he said, hey, why didn't it work out? Or what's the problems? I said, John, it's just not going to work out. I really can't get into it. I didn't feel it was my place at that time with me being a coach and Pat being an owner, John staying here to really get into it. So what I said, John, I said, it's more over salary than anything else. So well, how much are you talking about? I said, John, it's quite a bit. I embellished the story a little bit. I didn't want to get into the story. I said, really, it's close to a couple $100,000 a year. He said, well, what is it, 3 or 4 year contract? And I said, yeah. He said, okay, that's done. We took care of that. He said, I'll take care of that. He said, what else? And I said, well, when I said the salary, I said there was perks involved too. And he says, oh. He said, I'll tell you what. He said, I'll give you 4 cars, one for you and Peggy, one for Kyle and Crystal. Kyle's 14 and Crystal is 12, and the insurance is paid for. And he's dead serious. I mean, John Elway wants to win as much as anybody I've ever been around. What he's done when I came in as a head football coach, we started talking about the salary cap. And we didn't have a first, second, or third round draft choice. And we were ranked 30th in the NFL in defense. I said, John, you're going to have to help. Hey, money does not matter to me. So whatever we need to do for the football team, we'll do. Not only did he do it the first year, but he's done it the second year, the third year, and the fourth year. It's a lot easier doing this before you get up here. But the thing to me, he was so unselfish. He'd see me coming. He knew what I was going to say. He would just say, go ahead and do it. I don't even want to see it. You talk about a competitor, no matter what you ever did with him, he had to beat you at. And if you were lucky enough to beat him one time, he would come back and you'd have to play him until he won, regardless what it was. I think Bubby Brister said it best. It was in the paper today. He said, Mike, he says, I've been working to finally play John in some sport and beat him at something, and I finally did. I beat him in pool. And what did he do? He sold the pool table the next morning. That's a true story. Monday night game. I leave here after my 4th season. John and I are very close. I'm the head coach of the Raiders. I'm on the side of the line. Who I like the right up, right out the line. I know that scheme. We talk about the middle. Bob covering inside receiver. I know John. Hot receiver. Perfect pass. Throws in the air. Perfect throw. The only thing that's wonderful years with Denver. So I told him I came to corner on the right side, started off 40 yards. He's man to man. He's just looking at that receiver. All of a sudden, John perfect throw. He sees Mike King's call, makes the play. He comes over, walks over the sideline, looks at me, flips me off 75 feet on Monday night game. He got two cuts of it. We talk about the comebacks, talk about 47 comebacks. That's to me not being enough to talk about. Cleveland, talk about Houston. The thing that was, so impressive to me was the concentration level and the poise in trying to pressure. He believed that he was so prepared, so physically in shape, that if he was put in that situation, he would win. And that's why, as Patty said, I believe he's the best quarterback and guy to carry the game. The next thing I look at John is perseverance. When I think about perseverance, I think about the first year that I was with Denver, 14-3, we lost to Pittsburgh. Tough game. Toughest loss I've ever been associated with. Then the next year, 11-5. The next year, we're playing Cleveland, obviously in his drive game. But what led up to that, and I listened to the media, I listened to the critics. Well, John was a college 4 years at Stanford. They never won the bowl game. This is his 4th year in Denver. Heck, can he really take us to the Super Bowl? Is he good enough to take us to the Super Bowl? Does he have that? And the constant scrutiny and pressure that he had to live with on a day-to-day basis. And then comes the drive. Then all of a sudden, the next 3 out of 4 years, we're in the Super Bowl. He takes us to that game, and without him, we don't get to the Super Bowl. But the great part about that story is things don't work out in the Super Bowl. But he persevered for 7 years. 7 tough years, off-season program, believe it, doing everything he could in the organization to make things work. Then all of a sudden, the last 2 years, obviously the Super Bowl win and the MVP. But when I go back to that Green Bay game, when he does that whirly-bird, I'm looking at that situation. I kind of want to set the tone for everybody because to me, right now, that's one of the most memorable plays in his career. It's 3rd down and 6, and it's on the 12-yard line. He's got to get to the 6-yard line. We've got this play in. We got 2 wideouts to the right again, 2 wideouts to the left. John's in the shotgun formation. We're telling each inside guy to run quick slant routes, and if you're covered, stop and go outside. So really, those 2 inside guys will always be open unless they're double covered. So John says to me during the week, he says, hey, Mike, how about those guys that are bracketed double covered? Who do I go to then? I said, John, the corners, we've seen 100% on film, they're always in bump coverage. So if you see the bracket, they're in bump, throw the fade. He said, well, what if they're off? I said, then that's what you get paid those big bucks for. You make a play. But they've never done that. So what happens? The 2 inside guys are bracketed. The corners are way off on the outside, and I know what's going through John's mind. Oh, Mike, you said this wouldn't happen. So what does he do? He takes off. He knows that he's got no chance for a play. And I'm thinking about those 14 years at the NFL, the 4 in college. He is not going to be denied. He takes that thing, and most quarterbacks are going to hit the ground. Right at that time, I knew we had won the game. That perseverance, that drive, everything that he stood for, he did it on that play. We had won the game. Hungry, that's what he is. He's hungry to be the best at what he does. I don't care if it's football. I don't care if it's his family. I don't care if it's golf, business world. He's got it, but he wants to be the best at what he does. In closing, I don't think I've ever been around a guy that has had expectations as high as John Elway. Everybody has expected him to be the best. On the football field, he's exceeded those expectations. In the locker room, he's exceeded those expectations. With his family, those expectations been exceeded. Throughout the community, what he's done. We've got one of the best that's ever played the game. In my opinion, the best that's ever played. John, we love you.